Welcome, gents. The quietest people often have the loudest minds. Stephen Hawking. Most people chase what's popular, what's loud, what everyone else seems to want, but Sigma males, they don't move like that. They're not trying to fit in, they're trying to stay true. While others are glued to the crowd, Sigma males follow a different rhythm. They're drawn to things that don't always make sense on the surface, but feel right to them. These men don't care about impressing anyone. They're not looking for applause. They like things that challenge the norm, that stretch their mind or let them escape the noise. Solitude, silence, mystery, uncomfortable truths. These are things they actually enjoy. Not because they're antisocial or arrogant, but because they value depth over distraction. If you're someone who finds peace in disconnecting, who studies people quietly instead of dominating the room, who'd rather do your own thing than follow someone else's path, you're not weird, you're not lost. You're probably a Sigma male, and that's something to own, not hide. This isn't about being better, it's about being different. And in a world that constantly tells you to follow, conform, and please, being different is a quiet form of rebellion. It's rare, it's powerful. And if you've ever felt out of place because your interests, habits, or instincts didn't match the mainstream, you're not broken, you're just wired for more. Let's talk about the uncommon things Sigma males like. The stuff that doesn't always make sense to others, but means everything to them. Because hidden in those quiet preferences is the real strength of a man who doesn't need the world's permission to be exactly who he is. Number 1, leaving events early without explanations. Sigma males have a unique relationship with time and energy, and small talk, group selfies, or dragging out goodbyes just don't make the cut. When they feel a gathering has run its course, they don't sit around pretending to enjoy it. They don't fake smiles or linger out of politeness. They leave, quietly, smoothly, no explanations, no guilt. And here's the thing, it's not about being rude, it's about being real. Sigma males value genuine connection, not forced social rituals. Once the conversation shifts from meaningful to mindless, or once the energy in the room starts to feel draining, they trust themselves enough to walk away without needing approval. They're not wired to hang around just because it's expected. Most people stay at events longer than they want to out of fear. Fear of looking awkward, fear of being judged, fear of missing something. Sigma males don't operate like that. If the vibe no longer aligns with their energy, they're out. No drama. No need to explain. They just vanish like a breeze, and chances are nobody notices until much later. This habit often confuses people. They call it antisocial, cold, distant. But it's not about hating people. It's about not wasting time on surface-level interactions when their soul craves something deeper. They'd rather be alone in their thoughts, working on a goal, or simply recharging than sitting in a corner of a party, nodding along to small talk they stopped caring about 20 minutes ago. And deep down, this behavior says something powerful. I don't need to perform to belong. Sigma males don't trade their presence for social approval. They show up when it matters and leave when it no longer does. So if you're the type to quietly slip out of the room once you've had enough, understand this. You're not strange, you're intentional. You're protecting your peace. And in a world addicted to overexposure, your quiet exit is a rare kind of strength. Number 2, they possess an uncommon fascination with conspiracy theories. Most people hear conspiracy theory and instantly roll their eyes, but a Sigma male? He leans in. Not because he blindly believes everything, far from it. He's not gullible, he's just deeply curious. He doesn't take things at face value, and he sure as hell doesn't accept official narratives just because someone in a suit said it on TV. Sigma males are wired to question, to dig, to pull back the curtain and ask, who's really benefiting from this? What's the motive? What aren't we being told? And that's exactly what conspiracy theories offer, an alternate lens. A different way of seeing things, not always correct, but always thought-provoking. It's not about being paranoid, it's about not being spoon-fed. Sigma males don't like surface-level answers. They want to connect dots. They want to find patterns where others see chaos. That's why they'll spend hours deep diving into theories most people dismiss as crazy. Not because they believe everything, but because they believe in asking better questions. And let's be honest, in a world full of curated news, filtered information, and polished narratives, who wouldn't be skeptical? Sigma males simply refuse to let comfort cloud their judgment. They're not afraid to consider uncomfortable truths, even if it means being labeled odd or overthinking it. This fascination with conspiracy theories reflects something deeper. They're independent thinkers. While most people want to feel safe, Sigma males want to feel aware. They don't chase approval, they chase clarity, no matter how messy or controversial that clarity might be. And even if they never find the real answer, the journey itself sharpens their mind. Every theory is a puzzle, every hidden link is a challenge, every possibility forces them to think critically, and that's what they really love. So while others laugh and scroll past, Sigma males keep digging. Not to be rebellious, not to be different, but because the truth has layers and they're not afraid to peel them back. Number 3, deriving comfort from exploring abandoned and obscure places. Most people avoid abandoned places, cracked walls, broken windows, eerie silence. It makes them uncomfortable. But for a Sigma male, that's exactly where he feels alive. While others relates to those places. Just like them, he's often misunderstood. People might think he's too distant, too deep, too different, but that's exactly what makes him who he is. Exploring abandoned places isn't just a hobby, it's a reflection of his mindset. He's drawn to things with layers. He wants to know what's beneath the surface, even if it's messy or strange. This is the kind of man who would rather spend an afternoon in a silent, crumbling building than a loud party. Not because he's antisocial, but because solitude gives him space to breathe, to think, to feel. And in those obscure corners of the world, he finds... Number 4, not being liked by the right people. Most people bend over backwards trying to be liked, especially by the right crowd. The powerful ones, the popular ones, the ones with influence. But the Sigma male, he doesn't play that game. He doesn't just tolerate being disliked by certain people. Sometimes he actually welcomes it. See, a Sigma male knows something most people don't. Being liked by everyone usually means you've watered yourself down. You've smoothed out your edges. You've made yourself small enough to fit in every room. And that's not who he is. He's not here to be digestible. He's here to be real. So when someone with a superiority complex or fake charm finds him too quiet, too intense, or too much, he doesn't flinch. If anything, he sees it as confirmation. Good. I'm not here to entertain egos. He doesn't crave validation from people who thrive on control, vanity, or superficial games. He'd rather be misunderstood than misaligned. He's the kind of man who knows his values, holds his ground, and lets the chips fall where they may. If that makes him unpopular in certain rooms, so be it. He'd rather stand alone in his truth than sit comfortably in a room full of masks. In fact, he pays close attention to who's uncomfortable around him, not because he wants to start a fight, but because discomfort often reveals the truth. When someone feels threatened by his presence, his silence, or his clarity, it usually says more about them than it does about him. And here's the twist: the right people, the ones who truly get it, are the ones who respect him because he's not afraid to be disliked. They see the strength in his stillness, the honesty in his detachment, the power in his independence. So no, he's not for everyone. But that's not the point. He's not here to be liked. He's here to be unmistakably himself. And if that rattles a few fake thrones along the way, even better. Number 5, letting people think he's losing while he's rebuilding. To most people, silence equals failure. If you're not posting wins, flashing results, or staying relevant, they assume you've fallen off. But a Sigma male, he plays an entirely different game. When life gets heavy, when things fall apart, or when he chooses to disappear, it's not defeat, it's strategy. He doesn't feel the need to explain, defend, or perform. If people think he's losing, that's fine. Let them talk. Let them assume. Because while they're gossiping, scrolling, and comparing, he's rebuilding, quietly, privately, without the noise. He understands something most don't. Real transformation doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens underground, in the dark, away from validation and eyes that don't understand the process. This is a man who'll tear down his own life piece by piece if he feels it's no longer aligned. And while others are busy watching for signs of weakness, he's laying new foundations, stronger ones, wiser ones. He doesn't rush the comeback because he's not interested in performing for applause. The real win for him is becoming someone so evolved, so different, that the version people thought they knew can't even stand in the same room. And here's the thing. They often don't see it coming, because he moves in silence. He uses the false assumptions people make about him as camouflage. While they think he's down, he's leveling up. Not just in career or finances, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Every breakdown he goes through, he turns it into a blueprint for a stronger comeback. It's not about proving anyone wrong. It's about building something so real, so deeply aligned with who he is, that no one's opinion ever mattered in the first place. So let them think he's losing. Let them whisper. He's not trying to win the crowd. He's rebuilding the man. And when he returns, it's not to explain. It's to show up as someone so renewed, their words no longer apply. Number 6, turning off his phone for days. When a Sigma male disappears and turns off his phone for days, it's not because he's running from life, it's because he's reclaiming it. In a world that demands constant updates, instant replies, and 24/7 availability, stepping away isn't avoidance, it's rebellion with purpose, it's detox. Sigma males don't feel the need to explain themselves every time they go silent. They don't owe the world round-the-clock access to their mind, their time, or their energy. If they're not responding, it's not personal, it's intentional. They're choosing peace over pings, solitude over scrolling. While most people panic at the thought of being unreachable, Sigma males see it as freedom. They know how draining it is to constantly react to notifications, messages, and digital noise. So when they turn off their phone, it's like flipping the switch back to real life. No distractions, no interruptions, just clarity. This disappearing act isn't about ghosting, it's about grounding. Maybe they're reflecting, maybe they're recharging, maybe they're building something in silence that doesn't require an audience. Either way, it's sacred time. And when they come back, they return sharper, calmer, and more in control of themselves. What makes this even more powerful is how unapologetic they are about it. They don't send "sorry, I've been MIA" texts. They don't rush to explain where they've been, because to them, taking space is normal, necessary, healthy. They refuse to let digital pressure dictate their pace or priorities. And this is what sets Sigma males apart. They're not afraid to unplug from a world that's addicted to attention. They know that silence can be healing, solitude can be strength, and that being unreachable is sometimes the most powerful position you can hold. So if you're the kind of person who turns off your phone, vanishes for a bit, and returns with a clearer mind and a stronger spirit, you're not avoiding life. You're protecting your peace. That's not weakness. That's power. Number 7, knowing things without explaining how. Sigma males have this uncanny ability to know things that others are still figuring out, without ever needing to explain how they know. It's like they've tapped into a deeper current that others can't quite sense. And they trust it. They don't need a step-by-step explanation or a detailed blueprint. Their instincts guide them, and that's all they need. While the world often relies on logic, data, and explanations to validate their decisions, Sigma males work on a different wavelength. They feel things before they see them. It's not magic. It's just sharp perception combined with an inner confidence. It's knowing the outcome of a situation without being able to explain the process in words. Others might call it gut feeling or intuition, but for Sigma males, it's just how they operate. Think about it. When most people hesitate, analyze, and second-guess themselves, the Sigma male steps forward, already knowing which direction to take. He might not have a list of reasons to back up his choices, but the certainty in his steps is undeniable. And it's not that he's better than others. He just trusts himself, and that's a huge difference. What sets him apart is his ability to pick up on things others miss. A slight change in someone's tone, a shift in the atmosphere, the way a situation feels when it's not quite right. He's aware of the undercurrents, and because of that, he makes decisions with remarkable precision, often ahead of the curve. People may wonder how he knows something without being able to explain it. They may want the reasoning, the blueprint, the breakdown, but Sigma males don't owe anyone that. They're not about justifying their instincts. They're about trusting them and moving forward with confidence. So if you find yourself knowing things that others are still questioning, don't doubt your intuition. It's your superpower. You've learned to listen to the wisdom inside you. Trust it. It's leading you exactly where you need to go. Number 8, unsent messages. Some people type to be heard. Others type just to feel. But Sigma males? They'll write the whole message, worded perfectly, raw and honest, and then delete it, or let it sit unsent. Not because they're scared, not because they're confused, but because they've learned something rare in today's world. Not everything deserves a reply. They understand that silence is sometimes louder than explanation. When someone crosses them, misunderstands them, or even hurts them, sure, the words come, and often the message is a masterpiece. Direct, powerful, unfiltered. But right before hitting send, something clicks. What am I really trying to fix here? Sigma males don't waste energy forcing closure. They don't believe in chasing people down just to be understood. If a situation requires them to beg for clarity, it's already lost its value. Their peace means more than being right. And sometimes the most powerful thing they can say is nothing. That unsent message becomes a quiet form of self-respect. It's the decision to rise above drama, avoid draining debates, and move on without stirring the dust. It's not passive, it's intentional. A decision made from strength, not weakness. They know that sending that message might make them feel better for a moment, but the bigger win is keeping their power. Not giving someone the satisfaction of seeing them react. Not reopening a door that's better left shut. And here's the wild part. Most of the time, the people they don't respond to feel it. That silence becomes haunting. It lingers longer than a heated paragraph ever could. Sigma males don't need digital closure to walk away whole. They've mastered the art of restraint in a world obsessed with oversharing. And in doing so, they protect their energy, their dignity, and their mystery. So if you've ever felt the weight of a message that was never sent, know this, that silence is strength. It's proof that your growth no longer needs an audience. Number 9, men and women who don't try to lead him. One thing about a Sigma male, he doesn't follow. Not because he's rebellious for the sake of it, but because he was never wired to be led. His mind is built for independence. He values freedom like oxygen. So the moment someone tries to steer, shape, or control him, even with good intentions, his inner alarm goes off. It's not that he's against strong personalities. In fact, he respects people who know where they're going and move with purpose. But the difference is this. He admires leaders who lead themselves, not the ones who try to lead him. The minute someone starts giving him unsolicited direction, pushing him into their lane, or treating him like a project to fix or guide, he mentally checks out. Control, even in subtle forms, is something he picks up on fast. And once he feels it, he backs away without drama. Not because he's intimidated, but because he refuses to live under someone else's definition of order. He doesn't need someone to hand him a map. He's building his own. What does pull him in, though? People who are quietly confident in their own path. Men and women who have their own direction, their own pace, and no desire to drag others with them. That kind of self-possession, the calm kind, not the loud alpha kind, that's magnetic to him. It's about mutual respect. You do you, he does him. No one tries to dominate, no one tries to follow. That's the kind of space where he thrives. That's where real connection can happen. Without power plays, without ego, just two self-led individuals crossing paths. So if you're trying to win a Sigma male's respect, don't try to lead him, just lead yourself. That alone says everything he needs to know. Because to him, real strength isn't about commanding others, it's about mastering your own lane and letting others do the same. Number 10, watching people reveal themselves without saying a word. Sigma males are quiet, but don't mistake that for being passive or disengaged. When they're silent, they're watching, and not in a casual way. They're studying you with the kind of attention that would make a microscope jealous. Every word you say, every pause between sentences, the way your face reacts, how your energy shifts, they're catching it all. While most people rush to talk, fill silences, or prove something, Sigma males sit back and listen. But more importantly, they observe. They're wired to pick up on subtle things others miss. They'll notice if your words don't match your tone, if your smile doesn't reach your eyes, if you're being agreeable, but something in your body language says otherwise. To them, your truth isn't in what you say, it's in what you don't say. And the wild part? They won't call you out on it. They won't interrupt or ask follow-up questions. They'll just quietly file that information away. Because for a Sigma male, understanding people is like solving a puzzle. And every gesture, every contradiction, every moment of hesitation is a piece of that puzzle. This is why they rarely trust surface-level personas. They've learned that the loudest person in the room isn't always the strongest, and the most agreeable one might be hiding something. Sigma males watch patiently. because they know that given enough time, people always reveal who they really are, especially when they're being watched by someone who doesn't interrupt them. They aren't nosy, they aren't judging, they're just wired to see. And that's their quiet power. They don't need to interrogate or dig, all they need is a little silence and a little time, and the truth unfolds on its own. So if a Sigma male is quietly listening while you speak, just know he's hearing more than your words. He's watching the whole story play out, one unspoken detail at a time. Number 11, energy over aesthetics. To a Sigma male, looks can only take you so far. You could walk into the room wearing a $10,000 suit, rocking the finest cologne money can buy, but if your energy feels fake, needy, or performative, he'll feel it instantly and lose interest just as fast. He's not impressed by surface-level things. You could be dressed like a magazine cover, but if your confidence is forced or your vibe is off, he'll notice. Because Sigma males don't just see people, they feel them. Their instincts are wired to pick up on what isn't being said, and no amount of expensive fabric or designer fragrance can cover up insecurity. They value energy over appearance, always, not because they're trying to be deep, but because they've seen too much of the world to be fooled by a polished image. They know the guy with the flashy car and loud voice might be compensating. They know charm can be a mask, and they know confidence doesn't shout, it radiates. What really draws them in is authenticity, stillness, presence, someone who's comfortable in their own skin with no need to constantly perform. That's the kind of energy that speaks louder than words or wardrobes. This is why Sigma males often feel disconnected in social scenes where image is everything. They don't care how rich you look or how popular you are. If your energy feels off, if there's a sense of trying too hard, they'll quietly drift away, not out of judgment, but because they protect their space from anything that feels manufactured. They're attracted to realness, to people who are grounded, not trying to prove something. So if you ever wonder why a Sigma male doesn't seem fazed by status symbols, it's simple. He's tuned into a different frequency, one that values substance over sparkle, depth over display, energy over aesthetics. And if your energy is right, trust, he'll feel that before you even say a word. In final words, the world doesn't always understand Sigma males, and that's fine, because Sigma males aren't here to be understood by everyone. They're not wired for groupthink, attention, or approval. They're wired for truth, depth, and authenticity. And the things they like, those quiet, strange, deeply personal preferences, are not random. They're part of what makes them powerful. From walking away without explaining themselves to trusting their gut with no need to prove it. From destroying outdated versions of themselves to watching others silently unfold, these aren't just quirks. They're evidence of a man who lives intentionally, on his own terms. Sigma males like what makes sense to them. They're drawn to freedom, not show, solitude, not spotlight, depth over noise. And it's not because they're trying to be mysterious. It's because they've outgrown the need to perform. If you're a Sigma male, or if parts of this feel like you, you're not strange. You're not broken. You're just built for something different. You're the one who can see through the nonsense, move in silence, and still end up exactly where you need to be. That's not something you have to explain. That's something you own. So keep choosing what speaks to you, even if no one claps, even if no one gets it, even if it makes you the odd one out. Keep trusting your instincts. Keep walking your path. There's strength in not needing the world to agree with you. There's power in living like you know who you are. Because here's the truth. The world needs men who don't follow the script, men who don't cave to pressure, men who choose freedom over applause and solitude over shallow approval. That's you. You're rare, you're real, you're a Sigma, and that right there is more than enough. Thank you for watching, gents, and God bless you.